Now let us go for this second law of thermodynamics. So before going to the second law of thermodynamics, first of all we need to know why this second law of thermodynamics has come into existence. So there are certain limitations for the first law of thermodynamics. The first such limitation is that first law of thermodynamics said that heat and work are mutually convertible, and it did not specify how heat is getting converted to work. Then the second limitation that we need to know is that the direction in which heat is flowing, whether the heat is flowing from a higher temperature body to a lower temperature body or from lower temperature to higher temperature body, that also is not specified by the first law of thermodynamics. So these two limitations of first law of thermodynamics has led to the invention of second law of thermodynamics. Now when it comes to this second law of thermodynamics, there are two statements that define this second law of thermodynamics. One such statement we call it as Kelvin-Planck statement, and the second one is the Clausius statement. So based on this Kelvin-Planck statement, we will come across a device called heat engine, and based on this Clausius statement we come across a refrigerator and heat pump. Now let us see what this Kelvin-Planck statement says. So Kelvin-Planck statement says that it is impossible to construct an engine which while operating in a cycle produces no other effect except to extract heat from a single reservoir and to do equivalent amount of work. So the statement goes like this: see, there is no machine which can extract heat from a single thermal reservoir. Thermal reservoir is a temperature source body, so which continuously gives certain amount of heat. So it is impossible to extract heat from a single thermal reservoir and produce equivalent amount of work. So no machine can produce this, because if a machine can produce work output equal to that of the input, then the efficiency of this machine will become 100%. So this Kelvin-Planck statement says that it is impossible to construct an engine or machine which while working in a cycle produces no other effect except to extract heat from single thermal reservoir and produce equivalent amount of work output. Now that means there must be two thermal reservoirs. So one should be at higher temperature, from which heat must be extracted by this engine and should produce work output by rejecting certain amount of heat to another reservoir. So that means the amount of work output that we are going to get will be heat supplied minus heat rejected. So these kind of engines can exist, but no engine can have this 100% efficiency. Now if a machine such exists which can produce 100% output or 100% efficiency, then such a machine we call it as perpetual motion machine of second kind. So this perpetual motion machine of second kind extracts heat from a thermal reservoir which is a higher temperature body. Let us say Q is the amount of heat extracted by this PMM2, and this machine produces work output equivalent to that of energy supplied. So that means there are no losses or no heat rejection. So therefore this machine can produce 100% efficiency, and it is a violation of Kelvin-Planck statement. So this perpetual motion machine of second kind practically doesn't exist. Now let us see what is Clausius statement. So this Clausius statement says that it is impossible for a self-acting machine working in a cyclic process unaided by any external agency to convey heat from a body at lower temperature to a body at higher temperature. That means, let us consider there is a machine like this and there is a lower temperature body. Let us say T2 is the temperature of that body and T1 is the higher temperature body. See, this machine cannot extract heat from lower temperature body and give it to higher temperature body without any external work input. So, for extracting heat from lower temperature and reject it to a higher temperature reservoir, there must be some external work input. That is what this Clausius statement says. See, it is saying that it is impossible for any machine working in a cyclic process unaided. That means without any external agency, it is impossible to extract heat from lower temperature and give it to higher temperature body. So, we know that heat always flows from higher temperature to lower temperature. That is the reason that we can't extract heat from lower temperature and give it to higher temperature without any external work input. Now, let us see what is a heat engine. So, this heat engine is a device which extracts heat from a higher temperature reservoir. Let us say T1 is the temperature of that reservoir. So, let us say that Q1 is the amount of heat extracted by this engine and produces certain amount of work output by rejecting Q2 amount of heat to the lower temperature reservoir. Now, the amount of work output that we are going to get here will be heat supplied minus heat rejected. Now, work done is heat supplied minus heat rejected. Then, here we will come across two different efficiencies. One is the actual efficiency, which is the work output by the energy supplied, which is the heat supplied. So, we can write this one as Q1 minus Q2 by Q1, and this can be written as 1 minus Q2 by Q1. So, this is the actual efficiency. Now, we come across another efficiency called ideal efficiency, or if we consider a reversible condition for this engine, then this engine works on a cycle called Carnot cycle. So, we can consider the efficiency as Carnot efficiency. When we consider Carnot efficiency, then it becomes higher temperature minus lower temperature by higher temperature. Then this will be 1 minus T2 by T1. See, this Carnot engine is a reversible engine which can produce the highest efficiency, and this efficiency we call it as the ideal efficiency. Now, as we have considered this engine as a reversible engine, in reversible engine actual efficiency and ideal efficiency both will be equal. So, actual efficiency is 1 minus Q2 by Q1 and ideal efficiency is 1 minus T2 by T1. So, from this we can write Q2 by Q1 is equal to T2 by T1, and from this by cross multiplying we can write this as Q1 by T1 is equal to Q2 by T2, or Q1 by T1 minus Q2 by T2 equal to 0. So, this can also be written as Q1 by T1 plus of minus Q2 by T2 equal to 0. Now, we can write this as sigma Q by T equal to 0, or we can also write this as cyclic integral of heat transferred by temperature equal to 0. So, these equations stand good when we consider a reversible engine or a Carnot engine. Suppose if we consider an irreversible engine, then the actual efficiency will be less than the ideal efficiency. So, for irreversible engines, when we are supposed to write the efficiency, always we need to consider the actual efficiency while solving the problems, that is work done by heat supplied, or Q1 minus Q2 by Q1, or simply 1 minus Q2 by Q1. So, this is the formula always which we have to remember when we have to find the efficiency. Now, let us go for another device called the heat pump. See, this heat pump is a device which is used to extract heat from lower temperature. So, let us say Q2 is the amount of heat extracted from a body at lower temperature, which is T2 temperature, and reject it to a body at higher temperature by taking certain amount of work input. So, therefore, the work input that we are giving to the system will be Q1 minus Q2, or Q1 can be written as Q2 plus W. Now, when it comes to this heat pump, we will come across a term called coefficient of performance. So, this coefficient of performance of the heat pump actual will be the desired effect or the heating effect that we are getting. So, the heating effect we are getting at the higher temperature reservoir, because heat is extracted from lower temperature and is given to a body at higher temperature. So, this will be Q1, the heating effect, by the work input that we are giving. Now, this can be written as Q1 by Q1 minus Q2 also. See, when it comes to this heat pump, these heat pumps are used generally in the colder regions where we require heating of the rooms. See, outside surrounding temperatures will be very low, and inside the room temperature there will be a little higher temperature compared to the outside. But we required certain amount of heating effect, then only we will be able to survive in those colder regions. So, that is why we use these heat pumps. So, these heat pumps are used in order to rise the temperature of the room by extracting heat from the surroundings which are at lower temperature. So, that is the reason we will be supplying certain amount of work input to the pump in order to extract heat from this lower temperature, that is the surrounding atmosphere, and give it to higher temperature, that is nothing but the room that we are using. So, the desired effect that is obtained is inside the room, that is at higher temperature. So, therefore, the COP of the pump actual will be the desired effect or the heating effect here by the work input. Now, if we go for the ideal COP, so the ideal COP will be higher temperature by higher temperature minus lower temperature, and this is based on the Carnot principle only. Now, when it comes to this reversible heat pump, actual COP is equal to the ideal COP of the pump. So, actual COP is Q1 by Q1 minus Q2, and this is T1 by T1 minus T2. Now, we can write this as 1 by 1 minus Q2 by Q1, or 1 by 1 minus T2 by T1. So, from this we can write 1 minus Q2 by Q1 is equal to 1 minus T2 by T1, or Q2 by Q1 is equal to T2 by T1, and again Q1 by T1 is equal to Q2 by T2, and Q1 by T1 plus of minus Q2 by T2 is equal to 0. That means whenever we come across a reversible heat engine or reversible heat pump, the equation that we are going to get is sigma Q by T is equal to 0. Now, when it comes to this reversible heat pump, we have considered sigma Q by T equal to 0. But when it comes to irreversible cases, always we need to consider actual COP of the pump. So, which will be Q1 by Q1 minus Q2 or Q1 by W. Now, let us go for the refrigerator. See, refrigerator is a device which we are using in our household purposes, where the desired effect that is required is the cooling effect. So, inside the refrigerator, if you observe, the temperature will be lesser, whereas the surroundings of the refrigerator will be at a higher temperature. Now, this refrigerator is a device to which we are supplying certain amount of work input. So, initially we give certain amount of electrical work input. Based on that electrical work is converted into mechanical work in the compressor, and then by running that compressor, automatically heat will be extracted from the products that are kept inside the refrigerator by the refrigerant that is being circulated, so in the tubes, and as a result of that, the heat will be rejected by this refrigerator to the surrounding environment through a condenser. Now, the desired effect is the cooling effect which we are getting inside the refrigerator, that is at the lower temperature. So, the desired effect that we get here is the cooling effect. Now, when we consider the coefficient of performance of the refrigerator, so this coefficient of performance of the refrigerator actual will be equal to the desired effect by work input Q2 by W. Now, this is Q2 by Q1 minus Q2, we can write, because the work input that we are giving will be Q1 minus Q2 and Q1 is Q2 plus W. So, this is simple mathematics that we can easily understand. Now, if we consider an ideal COP of the refrigerator is the lower temperature by higher temperature minus lower temperature. This equation is obtained based on the reversed Carnot cycle. So, refrigerator works on, ideal refrigerator or reversible refrigerator works on the reversed Carnot cycle, and the efficiency of that will be T2 by T1 minus T2. Now, if we consider a reversible refrigerator or a Carnot refrigerator, then COP of the refrigerator actual must be equal to COP of the refrigerator ideal. Then here the COP of the refrigerator actual is Q2 by Q1 minus Q2 and ideal is T2 by T1 minus T2. So, from this 1 by Q1 by Q2 minus 1 is equal to 1 by T1 by T2 minus 1. Q1 by Q2 is equal to T1 by T2. From this we can write, and again Q1 by T1 is equal to Q2 by T2 and Q1 by T1 minus of Q2 by T2 is equal to 0 and Q1 by T1 plus of minus Q2 by T2 equal to 0. Here also we are getting sigma Q by T is equal to 0. So, that means if you consider a reversible refrigerator or reversible heat pump or reversible engine, always we can remember that sigma q by T equal to 0, and based on that, if there are certain unknown quantities, like suppose he has given q1 in the question, T1 and T2, we don't know what is q2. So we can determine this q2 by using this particular expression and solve the problem further. Now when it comes to this irreversible refrigerator, always we need to consider actual COP of the refrigerator only. So that will be Q2 by work input or Q2 by Q1 minus Q2. So this is what we need to consider when we are calculating the COP of the refrigerator. Now let us see some important conditions that we need to remember. If heat pump and refrigerator are operating between the same temperature limits, so that means the source temperature is T1 and sink temperature is T2 for both these devices, then the COP of the heat pump will be equal to 1 plus COP of the refrigerator. So this is one important condition that we need to learn. Then the second thing is, if heat pump, heat engine and refrigerator are operating between the same temperature limits T1 and T2, then COP of the heat pump, already we have learned that it is 1 plus COP of the refrigerator, and this will be 1 by efficiency of the engine. So efficiency of the engine is 1 minus lower temperature by higher temperature, or T1 minus T2 by T1. COP of the heat pump is T1 by T1 minus T2. So you can observe that COP of heat pump is 1 by efficiency of the engine from this particular case. Then we will be coming across an important term called ton of refrigeration. See, this 1 ton of refrigeration is considered as the unit of refrigeration, and this 1 ton of refrigeration is equivalent to 3.5 kilowatts according to American Standard for Heating, Refrigeration and Air Conditioning Engineers. So usually we consider SI units, that's why we have written this as 3.5 kilowatts here, and sometimes in some books it is written as 200 kilojoule per minute and 14,000 kilojoules per hour. So these are also considered as equivalent to 1 ton of refrigeration. So 1 ton, usually what we learn is equal to 1000 kgs. That ton is different, and here the ton of refrigeration is different. Don't get confused based on these two.